Hello, this is a book review. Interesting and findings, takeaways that I found in this book course, The History of the Human Language. So the first one is, unlike humans, animals cannot talk about things that are not present in the moment, such as future and past. That's what distinguishes humans from animals, that they can talk about things that are not right here in the present. When children learn a language early, they don't have an accent, unlike adults. It's kind of interesting. If children learn the language, they're less likely to have an accent, unlike adults. Interesting. Next, a principle of least effort means the language is changing according to how easy it is to say a specific word or a vowel. That's something that he's keep repeating in the course, and it's very important, is that humans are trying, so hard words are less likely to stay. Words or vowels will not stay, and they somehow will change with time to easier pronunciations. Next, in Chinese, the word ma mean different things when used different tones. Different tones developed when different continents weakened, and the same word is being used for different things, so only tone can differ. So the word ma in Chinese, it has many different meanings. The way it developed is because with time, when we use the word for different things, the only thing that can differ, or we can distinguish between one word, one meaning to another meaning, is the tone. So in general, Chinese has they ascribe a lot of meaning to the tone of the words rather than the actual word, it's not that prevalent in English. Next, sounds are making new language. If not for the written language, we would change much more words than we are now. February versus February. So the written language, it's the anchor, if you may, that connect us back to how we should speak. Without it, we would speak differently. The best example is February versus February. No one's saying February with the two R's. We all say February. And without the written language, we would be there much earlier. Languages lose some of the intensity of the words. For example, awesome and laying used to mean something more intense, and it's got diluted today. Sometimes it happens in languages that some words lose their intensity. For example, awesome used to mean like a very awesome thing, or laying, I think it means like laying, or laying with like having sex or something. But today it's not. It doesn't have the same intensity. Next, the word alone started with all one. With time, because it sounds very similar, it becomes alone. This is how many words are introduced to the language. So alone, I found it interesting where the word came from. So it's all one, which is only me, only one stays. But because it sounds, and that's where the principle of least effort comes in, because it sounds very similar, people just started saying alone, alone, alone. It sounds the same, and that's how it's introduced into the language. Next, the word silly started as blessed, and with time it means naive. Today, silly means foolish. This is how we see how words sometimes develop and change their meaning, as we saw here. they lose the intensity. It's a similar idea. So it started silly as blessed. It's actually blessed, but with time it meant naive, and naive with time meant to be foolish, because sometimes naive and foolish are corresponding. Most languages follow SOV rules: subject, object, and a verb. So that's they start subject, object, verb. And continue to here, we have English and modern Hebrew follow SVO rules: subject, verb, object. So unlike most languages, they have subject, verb, object, the way we construct sentences. TH is fragile and often transformed into an F or D. That's also, I think, connected to the principle of least effort. TH is fragile, it's not easy to pronounce, and usually, often, it's transformed into F or D. That's very similar, sounds very similar too. Actually, I heard something recently about this one. When you need to count the number of F's in the sentence, most likely if there is of, the word of, in the sentence, you would not count that one, because in your mind it's more like a sounds like a V or B, and that's the same idea, because it doesn't sound similar. I find it interesting. Next, B and V are often replaced on one another because they're very similar. B and V, not only in English, we have the same pronunciation, same vowels in different languages, and they often replace with time by mistake or not. The reason it's hard to understand Shakespearean language is simply because it's been many years and the language has changed, not because he was so smart and sophisticated. That's what he claims, that Shakespearean language is just old and they used different ways of write and speak, which today we do not fully understand. Some people think that it's because he was very sophisticated, but this is not true. It's just different. It's almost like a different language. Next, words that are being used a lot are less subject to change. So those words that we keep using and constantly using are not as prone to changes. Is there the right way to speak the language, or how the language is being spoken is the right way? He has an interesting question. I don't think he's answering that question, but what is the right way? The right way is already how the language is being spoken, or the right way, which is like, let's say, written down. So in a different question will be, if people are changing the language, is it wrong? You can say it's grammarly wrong. What makes you think it's grammarly wrong? That's the question, and I don't think there is an answer. Replace suffix and prefix. Some languages use tones. We have the Chinese languages, and I don't know if that's the right idea. Maybe they don't use it for prefixes or suffixes, but some languages replace it with tones. Some languages associate objects with male or female. I think even Hebrew has it the same idea. So for a table, for example, usually it's a male. It's associated with male and female. There is more languages that are associated. Some objects get a female association, and some get female associations. In Hebrew, it's definitely one of them. Next, principle of least effort mean that languages tend to lean towards words that need less effort. I had to say it again. That's the main idea in this book, and that's the last note I wrote. So again, principle of least effort. The languages you tend to lean towards words that need less effort. That's what usually happens. All right, that's it for notes. In general, I this book course is interesting. Probably will give it about, it's like 3 to 4. I would like between 3 to 4. If I had it, probably would be 3.5. But I lean more towards 3. It's a little longer than intended. Could be much shorter. There is some bullshit going on, but there is some interesting idea, and it's definitely interesting and vital to listen to it, because he gives a lot of pronunciation, because it's language. He gives because the way he speaks, he gives you a lot of ideas about how things are sound. But again, I lean more towards a 3. That's it. Thank you.